A fact that they suppress because they refuse the myth of their superiority over us is that even after they invaded us, enslaved us, segregated us, and created many inequalities to impede us, most inventions that revolutionized the world were either invented by Black people or were directly inspired by early inventions by Black people. Without Black people, there would exist no internet, no cell phones. We wouldn't have cameras and microphones on our cell phones. We wouldn't have the accurate weather forecasting system. We wouldn't have the cataract laser removal scope. There would be no emails, no GPS, no hearing aids, no touch-tone phones, no caller ID, no home security surveillance system, no motorized vehicles, no steam engines, traffic lights, no working light bulbs, no elevators, therefore no skyscrapers, no air conditioning, no modern color PC, no 3D movies, no central heatings, no refrigerators, no helicopters, no washing machine, no lawnmowers, no dryers, no refrigerators, no refrigerated trucks, no blood banks, no fiber optics, no nanotechnology, no female-centered pad, no bathroom tissue holders, no pencil sharpeners, etc., etc. Not only do these inventions demonstrate that in spite of cultural traumas and injustice of racism, that the technological advancements made by Black people has been extraordinary, they also prove that there is not a single person on the planet whose life has not been positively impacted by the great minds of Black people. Now, when a well-packaged web of lies has been sold gradually to the masses over many generations, the truth will seem utterly ridiculous and its speaker will sound like a raving lunatic. We have been lied to. The myth of white racial superiority over Blacks is greatly propagated through the illusion that most technological advancement comes from the minds of Caucasians. This, however, is totally untrue. A hidden fact is that after slavery was abolished in the U.S. in 1865, between 1870 to 1940, African Americans filed 726 inventions patents to the U.S. Patent Office. Now, for people to go directly from being enslaved, where they were denied an education, to then producing so much inventions in such a short time span is astounding. Furthermore, those numbers of patents submitted by African Americans more than doubled those submitted by whites during the same time frame. This scenario have never stopped. In spite of cultural traumas wrought by the injustices of white racism and slavery, most inventions that have revolutionized the world were in fact either invented by Black people or directly inspired by early inventions by Black people. White people invented the patent office and have always used it to steal the intellectual property rights from Black people. Because in order for Black inventors to get their inventions mass produced, they have to go before white companies. These companies acquire the right to these inventions and then places white faces in front of the technology. This scenario literally allows the white society to continue exploiting the intellectual genius of Black people while maintaining the appearance that all technological advancements are the results of the intellectual superiority of white people. In reality, most of the technologies that we routinely use, in fact, comes from the minds of Black people. The white masses doesn't know that they've been lied to. Therefore, they're clueless of the fact that their collective self-esteems have been falsely bolstered at the expense of the collective self-esteem of Black people. This has created a narcissistic ignorance among the white masses. Your perception of reality is an elaborate white deception. The white society's negative depiction of Black people is the result of an elaborate perception management system that bears almost no relation to reality whatsoever. Perception management is a propaganda technique that involves altering the public perception of reality to suit the objective of the ruling class. It's an essential part of modern information warfare. In order for the white society to maintain its social dominance over Black people, it's crucial to keep public perceptions of our Black people negative, as well as to keep Black people's perception of our collective state also negative. So deception is essential. Public perception is shaped by the narratives that are fed into a society. Therefore, all that's required to distort the perception of reality is to merely feed distorted narratives into a society. All societies function based upon the narratives that are repetitively fed into them. It's a social science fact. Therefore, white propagandists created the perception that whites are superior to blacks by systematically feeding distorted narratives into our society that conveys that message. According to white social scientists, if it ever became known that most invention actually comes from the minds of black people, this could erode the white society's social status that it currently holds over black people. This perception management system therefore conceals the fact that black people are responsible for the majority of societal gains. This perception management system perpetually propagates the illusion of white racial superiority over black people. Doing so creates and sustains false assumptions within the society that aids in maintaining white social dominance over black people. Everything we've been taught from the white society have been distorted to propagate white racial superiority over black people. No place is this more evident than when reading our school textbooks. The history you've been taught has been whitewashed to make Caucasians appear more significant throughout history than they truly in fact were, while also making black people less significant than we truly was by concealing the true historical greatness of black people. If you were taught true history, it would come as no surprise that the entire world has benefited from the great minds of black people. Because for long before the Europeans invaded Africa, it was Africans that civilized Europe. All of Greece's first scholars openly admitted that their knowledge originated from African scholars. The world's first scholars were in fact Africans. African scholars introduced science, writing, math, and philosophy to the world. The world's oldest university, library, manuscript, encyclopedia, human prosthetic, mathematical tools, medical journals are all located in Africa. Africans invented the wheel, paper, the calendar, the concept of 24 hours in a day. Africans also introduced agriculture science and also they taught hygienic practices such as brushing your teeth, shaving, perfume, deodorant, and even the daily bath to Europeans. Africans are the first to build in stone and to smelt metal. The largest wall ever built is not the Great Wall of China. It's actually Africa's Great Wall of Benin, located in Nigeria. It's 4 times larger than the Great Wall of China, and it's even recognized by the Guinness World Record book as the largest wall ever built in history. And all scientific facts irrefutably prove that Africa's ancient Egyptians were in fact Africans. Everything stated to the contrary are all gaslighting lies. Many carbon date testings prove that in ancient Egypt, the kingdom was built by Africans many thousands of years, long before the arrival of the first Greeks and Arabs through the 7th century. When the ancient kingdom was built, there were only Africans in Egypt. Furthermore, hair sampling testings, melanated concentrated skin testings, bone density, DNA genetic testings, geographical locations have all scientifically confirmed that Africa's ancient Egyptians were in fact Africans. The Greek scholar Herodotus, who was educated at ancient Egypt, described ancient Egyptians as having very dark skin and woolly hair like their neighbors to the south, the Kushites. All evidence proves that that ancient Egyptians were Africans. Everything to the contrary are lies. White historians cannot teach the true great history of Africans because they would then have to admit that they interrupted that great history. They also can't teach our true great narratives because they totally debunk the myth of their racial superiority over black people. We are not the true Jews of a fictional Bible written by the most ungodliest people we've ever met. That is not our true narrative. That's an idiotic claim. Our true hidden narratives, our true hidden identity is that we are the people that civilize the world. We enlighten the world with knowledge. However, because our narratives are being written and negatively distorted by our enemies, they're able to conceal who we are. They distort our narratives to sustain false assumptions within the society that aids them in maintaining their social dominance over Black people. It's a nefarious, unethical social science. Social science is one of the branches of science devoted to the study of human behavior, specifically how people interact with each other, behave, and develop as a society. The white society feeds false narrative to aid in maintaining their social dominance. Don't be fooled. If Caucasians were truly superior, they wouldn't have to distort so many facts, tell so many lies, and work so hard to handicap and subjugate those who they claim are inferior. You know, I've never seen a group work harder against the interests of another people that they deem as inferior. It's because the secret is totally the opposite. Your perception of reality is a white deception. And the reason why you are mentally enslaved, because you are relying on the white man to give you information. You're not researching on your own. Whenever you're allowing your oppressors to feed you information, they're always going to feed you lies that give them greater power over you. They're never going to give you the education that allows you to liberate yourself. But we have been conditioned to just take information from them. They educate us in our school, we take the media from them, and everything they give us is a lie designed to marginalize us and exalt them. Even their maps, even on their maps, Africa is made to appear 13 times smaller than its true related size, and all white countries are made significantly larger than their sizes. We're constantly being bombarded with symbolism that are designed to perpetuate white superiority. Even when they do the Darwin evolutionary chart, you ever notice they always place the white man's face as the highest evolved, and the lowest evolved always has dark skin? It subliminally conveys white superiority, that the whites are the highest evolved and Black people are the lowest. But here are the facts. Black people are not even a part of the Caucasian Darwin evolutionary chart. Africans did not evolve from primates. Africans have always been Homo sapiens. And Caucasians, the lower primates, did not have Black skin. Caucasian skin comes from Neanderthal DNA. African skin color, African's hair type, this is the direct evidence of Homo sapien DNA. They brainwashed us to yearn, many of us, to yearn to look like the Neanderthals. They've made the Neanderthal traits the standard of beauty. As long as you allow the white society to control what you believe, you will be mentally enslaved. It's time. We are now in the era of the awakening. One love and peace, brothers and sisters.